Hey everybody, this is Dominic D'Angelo, WrestleZone.com. Today's date is February 12th, 2021. It is but three Dynamite dudes with attitude. My brother Marcus, and I'm happy to have with us here today Dan St. Germain, comedian Dan St. Germain, a co-host of the Total F and Marks podcast on all things
Well,
comedy.
now I'll just interrupt you for a second. Now it'll be the Wrestle Roasts podcast.
What's it called?
Rebranding a little bit. This is our Get the F Out. It's the Wrestle Roasts pod. It's going to be a part of All Things Comedy and Conrad Thompson's network.
Oh shit!
So yeah, and now what we're adding on the show is at the end of every episode we're gonna roast somebody. So for our first episode, we're gonna roast Shane McMahon. If you guys,
wow, all right.
Well, that's great because how I met you was essentially through the Starcast, and that's you did the Bruce Pritchard roast, and Planda did the Ric Flair roast at Starcast too. And I remember asking you too. One of the questions I asked was, who would you want to get roasted, like if you were able to? And Vince Russo was a suggestion you gave. I remember.
Yeah, I've pitched that. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So
I don't think that's good enough.
But I think he's the perfect one, right?
Yeah, I mean,
though somebody on our Patreon message board just brought up Bret Hart, and I was like, well, he would be pretty good too. And he always, kind of gets a pass.
He might get a little cantankerous.
Yeah. It would definitely be put on notice. We would the hitman would have us in his sights.
That's right. One shot, Tom Berenger style shit.
Somebody said Jerry, but I'm like, that's like shooting fish in a playground.
Very much. So okay, I guess the biggest take I took away obviously from Dynamite this week, from a storyline perspective, was the ending, basically, with Kenta being involved, New Japan, the Forbidden Door being open, all that stuff. Dan, let's start with you. You're the guest. What did you think of just that main event and how they played it off? And does it create more intrigue going forward with the New Japan storyline and everything like that?
Well, I'm into it, but I'm a mark. So I don't know if I do mean that. Like, I don't know if, having Kenta is going to get any new eyeballs on AEW Dynamite. I think that's I would wager to say that the people that are fans of New Japan are already watching Dynamite. Mm-hmm. But I thought I thought the match there was a lot of really cool spots, and I love the Kenny Callis Nakazawa combo. I love that stable, but I think that we were saying this on my pod. I think that they take a lot of stuff for granted a little bit. Like I don't like. There's just certain things that I just don't know how much like an Impact invasion along with a New Japan invasion, and I'm saying this as a guy, I love Dynamite. Like I for the most part, like 90% of the weeks, I like Dynamite better than NXT because I think it's different and new, and there's a lot of talent that wouldn't get pushed in WWE, right. But this one felt a little, this one for the first time I felt like the show needed a creative team this week.
I can definitely see that. Mark, what did you think?
I have to agree with Dan by and large. I'm just not seeing. So I love that we're bringing people in and we're kind of mixing with other organizations. But like, I'm not sure how many people know who Kenta is, and those who do know who Kenta is probably are already watching Dynamite. So I think he does make a strong point. I will say at one point I was legitimately concerned for the health of Jake the Snake Roberts. I thought they were going to attempt to murder him in the ring with a V-trigger.
Yeah.
There was a point in that, I'm sorry to interrupt, where he was like, the match where I just saw like Jake's neck down, like it was just like Jake the Snake Roberts gunt, like in the middle of this, and I was like, is this it looked like one of the CCTV videos where like the homeless guy shits in the buffet, and when Jake was like stumbling around and literally did a lariat straight out of fucking Popeye.
Yeah,
it's true. Like some of that, the bumps Jake take, they look shoot bumps. They don't look like they're. It doesn't look like they're set up very, it's a little
concerning. A little concerning. And they sucked me in with the whole V trigger. When Kenny was setting it up, I was like, is Jake like, does he need some time off? Are they trying to like kill off his character? I was getting nervous.
How great was it when he got RKO'd? Like back in, I think I was like 2005 or something, 2004.
Oh yeah.
Back in 05, I think his bump card was like on its last couple, so he's got to be done by now.
He's in the negatives right now.
Right. But as far as the match itself was concerned, like you kind of know how I feel when it comes to these kind of clusterfuck sort of situations, Dom, where it's kind of like eating junk food. You eat it because it's there and it tastes good, but it doesn't exactly fulfill you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm mostly with you guys too. I think some of the elements that they had in it were kind of intriguing and engaging, like the different spot, like Kenta's double foot stomp off the stage was badass, and but
that's unbelievable, and it could be in every package from now until Kingdom Come. But
right,
that spot was amazing, but it was so out of nowhere. It was almost like a microcosm of the whole match.
Yeah,
it was like, all right, well, here's the crazy Kenta spot. Here's the spot. Here's this.
Yeah, another point to that too is that Avalon like loved Bet or whatever the fuck that was. Like we didn't see that at all beforehand, and it just appears, and you're like just supposed to think, oh, that's ringside. Okay.
Is Peter Avalon having sex at ringside? What was with that bed?
Oh, God, can we talk about? I mean, I think in a lot of ways that this past week's Cody tag match may be the worst segment they've ever had. For a lot of different reasons, and I'll go into it once we get there. But
I'm excited because
the number one reason.
Go ahead, let's do it, because I think we pretty much with this match, I think it basically got the point across about New Japan. Let me ask this though, real quick. Do you guys next week? Do you think they have a continuation for the New Japan? Like, are we going to see more Kenta or another New Japan kind of thing? Because it kind of seemed, I don't know, on social media or something that like Kenta was like, I'm going away, or he kind of indicated something like that. So I don't know. How do you think they set up for next week? And then we can move on to that Cody match. Oh,
go ahead, Dan.
I think.
Oh, go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. No, I say go hard back to the feud with Mox. Mm-hmm. That was the hottest feud of last year for me. And, there were so many great moments that feud has produced. Let's cut out all the interpromotional stuff. You could still have like the Good Brothers, like sniffing around or whatever. They're really entertaining. So I'm totally fine with that. But, this feud needs an end. So, give the feud the end it deserves.
Yeah. And like they did promote for the New Japan match. I don't remember the name of the show. Like, I don't know if it's Power Struggle or whatever, but it's going to be him and Kenta on February 27th. Mm-hmm. So once that gets paid off, then yeah, we could see something kind of go away. So you're more for like just getting rid of the cross promotion stuff for now, or maybe just downplaying it a little bit more and just having it kind of in the background.
I mean, I'm a huge New Japan fan. I'm a huge AEW fan. If there was a payoff, if you could get me, Omega versus Ibushi in 6 months, then great.
Yeah.
But if you can't, and it's kind of this piecemeal stuff, which is ironically a little similar to what Fuck the Invasion so bad is they had people at different times because of contracts. In this situation, it's just international travel. So I think you only do the angle when you can really pay it off, and I don't really know if you can pay it off in the middle of a pandemic.
That's a great,
especially when your company films in Jacksonville, Florida.
Right. The fucking hub of COVID-19.
Yeah. Yeah, my God. Like the Florida state symbol should just be like a manatee ODing in a hot tub, That's everything about Jacksonville.
That pretty much encompasses it.
I'm with Dan. I think that it's interesting for sure. I mean, it certainly piques my interest. The idea that anybody could come out week after week is really exciting. But like, are we going to get the payoff, or is it just going to be these sporadic sprinkles and like random run-ins? If that's the case, I'd rather not do it. I will say though, one more note on the match itself. We got the old classic spot with the old box of potatoes. That old chestnut.
Check off potato in this one.
Dusted off that one. That's something I'd prefer not to see again, I think, but I don't know.
This huge deal out of he's like, I want to get away from all this wacky shit. And then he hits somebody with a in the main event. And by the way, I thought that was
you could hear JR being funny how... Oh, go ahead, Dan.
JR just reminds me of like wrestling's Truman Capote at this point. He's just like saying patty stuff in a corner, like blowing from a fancy cigarette,
Pretty much. It's
it's Gordon. You could hear JR struggling to sell that spot where he was just like, "Oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to talk about this, but I have to."
Motherfucker.
All right, Dom. We can move on if you want.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that. The Cody segment with Peter Avalon, with Lee Johnson, who they really put over as the new signee and this new guy that we got to look out for. He did some pretty cool spots in it, but ultimately, it's just weird with having Avalon in the mix there. It just kind of just feels strange. So
I gotta break down this whole segment. It's so crazy on so many different angles. Okay, number one, this was a payoff for a story on Dark. Like, the Dark episodes get a fraction of what the Dynamite episodes get. So nobody knows what the story is. Nobody has any idea who this dude is. The only time we really know this dude, we've seen him a couple times in the Night Fair family, but before that, we saw him with MJF, and he was playing a non-wrestling character. He was playing, kind of, I guess it could have been a wrestling character, but it was it was a campaign manager. It was, and I'm not, saying anything that hasn't been said on my podcast by smarter people on my podcast, but there's that element of it. Then there's the element of Cody got injured doing this.
Yeah.
Which is he got injured by putting on a Peter Avalon clinic. What? That is not worth it, man. I really like Cody. I love him on the mic. I think he's great in the ring. I've got no problem with Peter Avalon. I don't think he should be having 15-minute matches. I don't think that's going to get asses into the seats. It's not going to, I'm going to watch forever just because it's like an OCD trick at this point. I'd probably no matter how bad wrestling got, I would start foaming at the mouth if I couldn't watch wrestling because I'm the markiest of the marks. But so that happened. Not to mention the feud is supposed to be Cody and Velvet Sky versus Shaq and Jade Cargill. So you have two matches now in a row, where Cody thinks it must be the combination of Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair that he can get over 8 people at the same time. And I'm not saying I think the guy's great. I just don't think he's able. I just don't think he's at that level where he can. People just learn the name Cody Rhodes. People know who the Bullet Club is. They know who Kenny Omega is, but they still need to kind of get that pound in their head. At WrestleMania 1, Hulk Hogan wasn't losing to the Ultimate Warrior. It just wasn't happening. Or I know that's a big thing. That's not what I'm trying to. That is 15 minutes. They just have different problems,
something like that. It's
AEW. Okay, AEW doesn't know. WWE never knows when to pull the trigger on somebody. So because of that, you have Big E and Cesaro, and you're still debating whether or not they can have a main event push, even though they've proven to be, both of them to be really good in the ring, and in Big E's case, great on the mic and in a popular stable. They still have no idea whether or not they should pull the trigger on that. But with AEW, I think that they're just trying to get too many new people over at the same time. And it's you can't make everybody at the same time. It's just, like they made Hangman Page. That's great. But you look how long it took to make Hangman Page. And I think like now, for whatever reason, like Cody and the Bucks think they can do that in a couple episodes. But I also get like they need ring time and everything. It just to me was just very confusing. And I think the craziest thing, and I'm sorry, I know I've gone on a long monologue here.
No,
the craziest thing that I haven't brought up about this, and this is without a doubt the craziest part of this whole angle, is I was listening to Meltzer and what they're doing with this storyline with QT Marshall and who's the other guy? Who's his student?
Oh, Lee Johnson?
Shoddy.
That was teaming with Cody this past week.
Oh, Cesar Bonini or whatever.
Lee
Johnson.
No, Lee Johnson.
Lee Johnson. Yeah.
Yes. Johnson. So what they're doing apparently is the storyline of Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko, but with QT Marshall. Like, what? Nobody knows who QT Marshall is. Like you're saying QT's Bruno in this thing? Like it's the ultimate it's the ultimate like local comic complex. Like, it's like, yeah, you guys have Chris Rock, but have you ever heard of Tom Fox? And it's like some local guy. That's fine, but like they're just like putting over whoever's in their territory.
Well, no, it's a good point, because even to that like I had no clue like what's going on. It's like it should be specifically for a Dark, set aside for Dark, and leave it at that, unless you build it to get on Dynamite, because it was just thrown there. And so I don't know the relationship of QT between Lee Johnson and anything like that, but it's like the setup for it. Yeah, it just seemed like Cody is a star and he's at the beginning stages of being a big star, but he's still at the beginning stages, and having him go up against like three guys that we're just kind of getting familiar with and that don't vibe quite yet. It felt really, really out of place. Really out of place. Mark, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no question about it. And by the way, I had no idea that was an angle that was carried over from Dark, because even though I'm a big AEW fan, I don't watch Dark. So like I had no idea what was going on.
If a guy who's got a WCW NWO Revenge poster in back of him doesn't know what's going on, you have a problem, guys. You have a problem.
It's a situation.
Major issue. And let me say, like, I think Lee Johnson, I think he's got like a lot of talent. You could see it in the ring for sure. Didn't do him any favors by immediately sticking a fucking mic in his face right when he's gassed at the end of the match. He's gasping. Yeah. You can barely hear what he's saying. And they're like patting him on the back, like, check it out, we won this tag team match. Like, great job. You're really an up and comer. It's like everybody. Like, I just saw another person win a tag team match. They didn't get a mic shoved in their face. What are we doing here?
Yeah, it felt out of place.
When they had that camera, when the camera was focused on him, I thought that Peter Avalon won, and that was the shocker. Yes, because I was like, well, of course the team that Peter Avalon is on is going to lose if the other team has Cody Rhodes on it. Yeah. Like, of course. And instead, and he was, I mean, this guy was, he's fine, but it's like with his body type, dude, it's like, his body type, that's Ospreay, that's Ricochet, like it's the hardest weight class. It's like going into Khabib's weight class. It's really tough. So yeah, I had a lot of thoughts about that segment.
No, there was a lot of that. I mean, like it did out of all those matches, and like Cody, I think consistently throughout Dynamite's beginning, it's like he's had the best matches, the best angles, told the best stories, but like this stuff with Shaq and, going to Peter Avalon and stuff like that, it's felt so weird and out of place and kind of just a little bit amateur. It's just like,
it's feeling like he's reading his own press. That's what it feels like.
It's
a very, for somebody who destroyed Triple H's throne, it is a very Hunter Hearst Helmsley move, Mr. Rhodes.
Something that it can't. I don't know. It's just not. It should not be on a 2-hour program, let alone a 3-hour one. Keep it on Dark for the most part, I feel.
Dom, I think the more egregious move. I don't know where you're going next, but I definitely want to talk about Hangman Page and what they're doing with him.
Yeah, let's do. Okay, I kind of like that segment this week, but go ahead. Yeah, what do you think?
Oh my, you like that?
I did.
Dude,
I like how they.
So they've got this Clint Eastwood type character, this John Wayne guy. That's at least that's how you should be positioning a guy like Hangman Page. And they're making him look like a complete lush at the bar. He's got like all these empty glasses in front of him. And then worse yet, Matt Hardy, who looks like he's on his way to a magician's conference, is like outsmarting him and like getting him to sign his fucking contract. It's like, what is likable about Hangman Page right now? I cannot like him. At this point, I'm just saying, fuck it. Let's just fucking bury him. Let's just ruin his career on national television. I'm in on that.
Oh, okay, Dan, what do you think, man?
Oh my god. Well, I don't know if I would go that far. I like Hangman. I think it's it's a little weird because Matt, almost like Cameron Grimes is doing a better Matt Hardy on NXT right now. Like this big money character. Like Cameron Grimes is not. I don't know if you saw his promo this past week on NXT.
Yeah,
it was genuinely funny, which is it's hard because it was obviously a little broad, but it's wrestling. That's you got to expect that,
right?
But yeah, I think that Matt's big money Matt character, I do like it in this context. I guess I don't know, man. I just don't. They're kind of in like a lose-lose situation with Hangman and the Dark Order, right? Because on the one hand, you have a I really like that guy John Silver, and they're really entertaining on Dynamite. I mean, on Being the Elite, but they're not really great characters on Dynamite, and so they're trying to like do a story, which again, but you want to like you want to root for those guys, especially with Brody Lee being connected to it. But you also don't really want to see Hangman Page with them, but you don't want to see Hangman Page turn him down. I feel like they kind of painted themselves into make your baby face look like a heel corner.
Yeah, it is a tough one because like he kind of blew them off too, like earlier in the show, and then he's out there drinking with Matt. Now, with that, I thought like, okay, yeah, he had a whole bunch of empty glasses in front of him and stuff like that, and like you're like, okay, Matt's trying to take advantage of him, like maybe put a Mickey in that shit or something. But he also, but like Adam showed that he was capable of handling the booze because he pulled a fast one on Matt. So I was from the weeks previous, like it's like I don't want to see fucking depressed Hangman Page anymore. I don't want to see emotional Hangman Page. I want to see like Stan Hansen Hangman Page is what I want to see. So it's like I don't think they got kind of dismissed any of that. But it's a delicate balance because you're right, Dan, with the Dark Order, because they're such a comedy act. If you pair them up with the comedy act, it's going to look comedic. So it's like you got to, I don't know, you have to find the balance of making him look like a badass, but having those guys with him too. Like John Silver, I thought his fucking delivery with like him just being like so stupid. Like, he's like,
oh no,
I laughed out loud at that one, but.
Fantastic in that role, and
yeah.
I mean, I thought he was fantastic in that role. I just don't know, what's the benefit here,
Yeah.
I don't know how it's it's a little bit like another feud we'll talk about where it's like two people that I really like that shouldn't. I don't know if I want to see them working together.
Well, let's go to it. Who are you talking about? Because Marcus and I, we always have a bone of contention with somebody. There are two people.
Well, I go back and forth on that.
Okay.
And that's MJF in the Inner Circle.
Okay.
I go back and forth. And here's why. Because they didn't really build like it's immediately been about MJF like leaving the Inner Circle. They never, and I understand with that character you wouldn't have like that long of a honeymoon period. I get that. I totally get that. But I think it should have been a little bit longer of a honeymoon period. And I don't know, man. I just, it's just like it feels a little bit like it's almost like I like it. I think it's pretty good, but I think it could be better. And I also think that the problem with like putting all those guys together is they're all the strongest workers you have in the company, and now they're working with one another. So that means that everybody else, all the other programs, are with way less experienced guys. There's a real big difference between Orange Cassidy working with Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy working with Miro. It's going to be night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
but
no
I have mixed feelings. I'm probably in the middle of both of you with that.
Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I think that MJF joining the Inner Circle was more a vehicle to get him with Jericho, because they kind of have like such similar personalities. I always said that MJF reminded me of like the younger heel Jericho, and now it's like, okay, we got to get these guys together. And sort of on paper, it's a good idea, but in execution, not so much. And I think Dan makes a really good point too about like, you've got some of the biggest personalities, some of the bigger stars in all of AEW, and now they're working each other. How does that elevate anybody else? It doesn't. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad that we're transitioning Sammy Guevara out of the Inner Circle at this point. I think that's a good thing, because he does, I think the sky's the limit for him. Plus, I was getting tired of watching Chris Jericho play. Like he reminded me of like a stepdad with like his biological son and then his like stepson, and he's just like, come on now, I need you boys to get along.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. I think I was looking at this more of, okay, MJF is meddling in the business, and like he did this with Cody. Now he's doing this with Inner Circle, and it's evident. Everybody can see it except like Inner Circle people. And then Sammy breaks off from it, and so I think it's more of an Inner Circle story than it is a story of anybody else. I'm just curious if this is just we're gonna get a new Inner Circle, or Sammy's gonna get brought back. Go ahead, Dan.
Inner Circle Red and Black.
Yeah, Inner Circle Red and Black, exactly.
Oh, God, please no.
That's what's gonna fucking happen. Sammy's gonna come out with Sting face paint on or red face paint. It's gonna be bad.
But I thought the match was good.
They all make I thought Jericho was really good in that segment, but I just don't, it just felt kind of anticlimactic. I wanted more of a bigger moment when Sammy left.
I think what we're ultimately going to see is Jericho go up against MJF. I think that's what the payoff is going to be. And then Sammy's going to be an element in there where he's going to, it'll be a little bit of a breakout. Before we move on, do you guys want to see the Inner Circle breakup? Do you think they're over and done with? Marcus, I kind of know what you're going to say. Dan, what do you say, though?
Well, I don't think I did want to see them break up before this, but now I do.
Now you do.
Now I want. Yeah, now I do. Now I want to see them break up because, I just feel like now you can kind of move those guys off in different directions because, it's going to be hard. It's like one of those things where, once a stable breaks up and you put them back together, each time you put them back together, it's just a little less potent.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah.
I figured they need some time apart.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Marcus.
I'm kind of wondering if it was, I noticed that that Guevara, when he was leaving, by the way, I thought it was hilarious that Alex Marvez just like enters stage right for that, just like in the parking lot, like, oh, Alex Marvez is just in the fucking parking lot, and then later on he's just like, he also enters stage right when Kenny Omega's golfing. I'm like, what the fuck, what's with this guy?
All over the place. Marvez has nothing to do in Jacksonville.
but in any case, Sammy kind of said like, I just need some time away, and I was like, okay, so does Sammy just like need some time off, like legitimately? Or what's going on here? Maybe that's what's going on, and the rest of the Inner Circle remains intact
for now. Leaving the territory.
Maybe that's it.
I don't know. I don't know. It's like, I'm with you guys. I think like at this point, I wanted to see Inner Circle stick together, and I wanted maybe see a new iteration of them or like formation of them with new members or certain things, and maybe some are out. I don't know though. Now it's just this point. It's like, it might make more sense to just kind of break them up at this point. I don't know.
I'm ready.
All right.
What if Sammy's going? What if they did a trade and they get Sammy in New Japan for a year? That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be badass. See,
yes.
The Forbidden Doors, Marcus, this is what I want to talk about too, real quick. We're running out of time already, but Dan, have you been watching the two Tonys on Impact? Like those clips with Tony,
no.
No, oh my God.
No, are they doing like
it's Tony Schiavone and Tony
Mike,
Schiavone, just cutting their promos, paid advertisements on Impact.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was like a new character, like the Robert Stone brand or something. Yes, I have seen that.
No, it's like those videos of them just cutting a promo and building for Impact the next night. Tony Khan is really like, I don't know, it's very entertaining how he's standing out on those fucking things. It almost looks like he's playing the conventional character that like has fame taken to his head too much, and then he gets addicted to cocaine. So, that's the role he's playing on Impact right now.
He just reminds you of like the kid who got Jay-Z for his birthday party. You know, you're like, come on, man.
Fuck this kid.
Yeah.
No, it's So, talking about let's see. I want to get thoughts on the opening match real quick. Is Darby Allin versus Joey Janela, and then it leading into Sting. And that storyline, again, getting played out with Sting and Darby being interfered with by Team Taz. So, Mark, give your thoughts real quick on all of that stuff, the opener and how it developed throughout the night.
Well, I appreciated the spooky fingers Scott Hall thing Joey Janela did. I like Joey Janela. He's like one of those guys where like I sort of like disliking him. I don't know what it is about him. He's like he always reminds me of like a dollar store Michael P.S. Hayes, and it's just like like he's like sometimes he's a great worker, and then sometimes he oversells like a fucking asshole, and it just annoys me.
Did he do anything this time around that fucking threw you off?
No, he was pretty good as far as overselling is concerned, you know, and I think that Darby kind of carried him to a pretty decent match here. Hard to get past the fact that he looks like a guy you'd get into a fight with at 10 p.m. at Walmart. But you know, I can push past it and accept him as a job guy in AEW.
All right, Dan, what did you think of the whole development?
Well, it just feels like they keep doing the same segment every week, right? I mean, next week it's like Sting calls out Team Taz or Team Taz calls out Sting. It's just the same thing. As far as the match, you know, I thought the match was really interesting because, you know, before watching the Joey Janela Darby Allin match, I'd heard about their epic battles at MLW. So I was expecting this brutal, you know, garbage match, essentially, like, you know, indie death match, you know, outlaw bullshit, to quote Jim Cornette. And instead, what I got was a really well wrestled match with pretty good psychology that was ultimately really disappointing because I wanted to see like somebody get thrown into a refrigerator, you know, like they were their history was their own worst enemy on this.
Yeah, no, you know,
I think Darby's a great worker. I'm not a huge fan of like the whole, you know, emo gimmick or whatever the fuck, you know. But you know, he's a really good worker.
Yeah, no, with the Darby match, I don't know, like I was expecting more of like what you were thinking, Dan, but I'm kind of on the reverse side where I kind of did like it, like, and JR and Tony kind of like played that up, like, I don't know, from a perspective of like the ring work that was done, like it was Joey wrestled more of a match than what he's typically done, so it's like that.
I would have totally liked it if I didn't know, you know, if I hadn't seen that fucking crazy spot where Darby like rolls off in a wheelie chair, you know, it's
yeah.
It's really no fault. It's not their fault.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, like those expectations are there though when you're built in like that, and like they've had that rivalry kind of thing. You kind of think you're gonna get that kind of match, and then when you don't, it's like it's a little different. Yeah,
you know what it's like? It's like going to see the Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian, like in a regular match. You know, you're like, yeah, this is good, but hey. I don't know, man. Where's the giant ladder?
Yeah, somebody climb a ladder.
I compare it to my buddy hyped up the movie The Constant Gardener the one time. We were all in college, and like he said it was an action movie and everything like that, and then we fucking went to the theater, and it was just a depressing movie about like being in a foreign country, and the guy ends up like fucking blowing his brains out at the end. We're like, what the fuck was this? This is not what we wanted.
Yeah, I heard that was pretty good.
I fucking paid to see this. What the hell?
Well, it might have been a good movie, but how it was pitched to us was like, hey, we're gonna get fucking like, it's gonna be like 48 hours or some shit like that. It's gonna be like, but we ended up getting some just I don't know, something more akin to, I don't know, something that a fucking like Scorsese, less than a Scorsese action movie would deliver or something.
Well, by the way, Dom, I wanted to mention I was a big fan of the attempted murder of Darby Allin by Team Taz, where they drag him behind the vehicle.
Follow up to that.
Yeah, isn't that at the end of the was or something? They did like the whole what's that called? Drawn and quartered? No, that's different.
That's when they pull you apart the limbs.
That's when they pull you apart.
Yeah.
Felt like it, but it reminded me a little bit of, you remember when 2002 the NWO attempted to kill The Rock with a semi truck?
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of too. Yeah,
kind of like that.
They made Hogan like a face a week later. That's how over Hogan was. He tried to murder The Rock, and they still couldn't turn him heel.
Listen,
you can't pay for that kind of power, brother.
If they're gonna do that as kind of like stunts and stuff like that, I'm all for them going like the Living Color route, where they have like an obvious fake dummy just partaking into it. You know, where it's, you know, you can see it's like a ragdoll effect essentially, where you just okay,
absolutely,
it's there.
Dom has heard me pitch the angle. I think that the Luchasaurus needs to side with Abaddon and literally like rip Marco Stunt in half, with like intestines and stuff coming out. I don't know. I think it could be interesting. Really, if we kick that can down the road there. But,
what's your thoughts on
did they return Marco Stunt to his parents?
He's back. Yes, he's back. He's safe and sound apparently.
Oh, he is.
Right,
yeah, you didn't hear that?
No, I don't remember seeing that.
Because Tony, he talked to Jungle Boy about it, and it was like, yeah, he's okay. That's pretty much what happened.
He's fine.
You know, we're not going to suspend him or nothing. They're fine.
He was kidnapped. We're not going to make a big deal out of it.
You know? We got a lot more other COVID, all that stuff.
It's been a wild year.
Yeah. But okay, so the women's eliminator tournament started off with Thunder Rosa and Layla Hirsch. I thought it was a really, really good opener for a match, and two different talents that I think, you know, really could establish the women's division. Dan, what were your thoughts on that match and how the eliminator tournament might play out?
Well, I really liked it. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I guess I'll believe. You know, I guess I got to see it. I'm not as familiar with, you know, Japanese women wrestlers.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm looking forward to seeing the tournament. Again, it's, you know, I kind of just feel like, you know, I don't know, man. It's so weird. It's like, okay, I don't think Jericho and MJF should be working together because they're two biggest stars, right?
Right.
But I do think Sheeta and Britt Baker should be working together, even though they're the biggest stars in those divisions. But I feel like you should just focus on, you know, one feud, and obviously Thunder Rosa part of that too. But I mean, I do think that they need the answer isn't more talent; it's enhancing the talent that you have,
putting a light on those particular talents. Yeah, it's like,
yeah. But I thought it was a really good match.
Yeah, I like Layla Hirsch and Thunder Rosa are two of our favorites. I know, like we're big on Thunder Rosa and stuff, but it's with the Japanese bracket side of it, it's like that's all going to be on YouTube. And people have to make an effort to go and watch that, you know, instead of what it's going to be presented on Dynamite. So you're not going to see a lot of those talents come into play. I mean, I know they want to but it's to your point. It's like you have more women wrestlers, but they're not getting a light really shown on them too much. It's just like they're part of the product to build to this, what you want eventually. But it's like you're still missing that aspect of it. Yeah. Marcus, what did you think of the match? And then they've actually presented the bracket too. So I don't know if you got any thoughts on that too, but
I mean, I'm a huge fan of Thunder Rosa. I love Layla Hirsch too. I thought they told a pretty good story. It was kind of like, they're both a couple like legit amateur wrestlers.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, who's gonna out wrestle who? But yeah, I mean, kind of the barometer for me is I usually fast forward because I record Dynamite and watch it later. And I usually fast forward when they do the picture in picture until they're back to just full blown action. I did not do it during that match just because, those women were putting on a damn clinic. But as far as the tournament itself, I think it's kind of silly to do it. Like, it should just be a tournament. It doesn't matter if there's Japanese on one side or Americans on the other. It's like, how about we just mix it up? It's like, I don't care what people's nationalities are. I'm interested.
Well,
in watching
I think
that.
the thing is COVID. It goes back.
Well,
to COVID.
they're all like quarantined there. I think that's why.
Oh, that's what's going to see. I thought they were coming in.
No.
Okay.
So they'll be wrestling in Japan. That's why they're having that side of the bracket.
I may have misunderstood this.
Yeah. So, and then once whoever gets to the finals there, they'll fly them on over probably to Jacksonville or whatever, and then have the finals, in Jacksonville.
All right. Well, to your point, Dominic, even with that being the case, I think the YouTube thing is kind of a mistake. But I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of they can't exactly get it to happen any other way as far as like showing these matches. So, if that's their only option, then kudos to them for finding a way.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to do, but it's also like AEW does have options in regards to, you think about it with their ties to Impact and the women's division in that. Like, the Impact division, arguably their Knockouts division, is the best part of the show. So it's like, I mean, they've lost a couple talents since the past few weeks, but overall, like, they have some stars there. So I don't know. It's just kind of weird that, like, I understand why they go the Japanese route to an extent, but it's also, I don't know. It seems like different elements you can maybe utilize a little bit more. All right. So let's see. Oh yeah. The Bucks just challenging Santana Ortiz out of nowhere. Did you guys, Marcus and I kind of have like a bone of contention when it comes to the young Bucks.
And I feel bad. I feel bad for Santana Ortiz. I really like that team. I don't understand. You can't beat the Bucks right now, and they never do DQ finishes. Yeah. So, I mean, you could. I would use a DQ for this. Honestly, this is one where I would use the DQ, where I would have MJF cost those guys the match, but. Like they lose because of DQ. Or I really think you need to protect Proud and Powerful a little bit more than they're doing. That would be my fix.
I'm with you on that one because it's again, to your point, like, they're painting themselves in a corner. I think in this storyline, it's just yet again, the Bucks. I think they can play either a babyface or a heel, but I would just wish they would commit to one. And then stick with it, and then we can get a payoff.
Yeah, I mean, look, they reinvented the wrestling business. They are amazing in the ring. They draw money. I agree with all that stuff. They are not good on the microphone, and it's like, they need to get more simple with it. And they need somebody to be directing and producing them. And I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, but it's it's true.
It's a very, very good point. Mark, your thoughts on all that stuff that happened, or just the little segment?
I hate listening to those guys do promos ever. Not just because they suck. It's the what's his name, Road Warrior Buck. He's just got such a punchable face. like it's just his old smarmy, like, kind of take on everything. It's just like, I'd fucking right in the suck hole for this guy. But it's I get annoyed with it. And also, like you said, Dom, it's like they're baby faces on paper, but they're like buddies with the heels. And it's like, I understand that they're trying to, like, it's shift the wrestling paradigm or whatever. But like, still, people want simple, basic, like, baby faces, heels, black and white. I think that you could have some pretty simple formulas, and they're just sort of like fucking it all up because
it's very easy. It's a very easy delivery ultimately if you play it right. But they're muddy in the waters, like it's like
and this whole casual, like, we'll just wrestle whatever. Santana Ortiz will just wrestle those guys. And it feels like these, like, rich kids, right? Because they're the EVPs. It's just like, we'll just do whatever the fuck we want. It's fine.
No. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's What are you gonna do?
I know.
You got to take the good and the bad, right? Like WWE, it's overproduced to the point where it feels like antiseptic, and with AEW, it's to quote Booker T, it is a little indie-rific. So it's just there's at any given time there's only going to be a couple really great wrestling angles going on, and I just get really annoyed when people are like, well, I'm a WWE guy, or I'm an AEW guy, or I'm a New Japan guy, and I'm like, well, in the last year, all three of those promotions have had really great things and really dog shit things.
Absolutely.
That's just the nature of professional wrestling. And and then I don't know where AAA maybe had the best show of the year. So it's like you never know.
Yeah, it's like anything can come into play, and like I'm a big fan of NLW and what they do. So it's like there's people, there's so much stuff that people don't. I don't get the whole like, oh, I'm strictly WWE and FAW or vice versa. Even like I'm super critical of WWE when it comes to it, but it's also like there's great stuff that happens, like great stars on there that you love to see, like Daniel Bryan mixing it up with Cesaro. Like, how can you not enjoy that? It's just like.
You would have preferred it was more than 3, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's like there's certainly up for criticism to all of them are, but it's just, I don't get the whole like, okay, I'm a AEW guy, strictly that, and not WWE.
I'm a good wrestling guy.
Yeah, good wrestling guy.
Right. And enjoy it.
Yeah. I think that's
you're allowed to enjoy Kenny Omega and Roman Reigns title runs at the same time. Both are doing a very good job.
Right. They're both
like
I actually really like the Kenny golfing segment too. I thought that was just like him.
Yeah, I love that segment.
Yeah. It felt very Nick Bockwinkel-ish and also Caddyshack. Nick Bockwinkel and Caddyshack gave me those.
Yeah. No, I dug it, man. It was a blast.
Yeah.
So with Tony Khan kind of being open for business, Dominic, do you ever see him like just putting the feelers out? Because Dan, when he mentioned Kenny Omega and Roman Reigns being champs at the same time, like, could you see Tony Khan ever saying like, hey, look, we can work together a little bit. I've got good relationships with other wrestling companies.
It doesn't matter if Tony wants it. Vince would never let that happen.
Do it. I could see Tony being like, oh, yeah, I bet he would do it. Like, I bet he would be totally up for it. He's like, yeah, let's do it. But to Dan's point, no, I never would think the other side of the coin would never turn. Like Vince would not fucking have that happen whatsoever.
Just a little wishful thinking.
Right. So that forbidden door is open, but it's not that open. So that's how the cookie.
This whole week was either the forbidden door or Nia Jax's hole. Some people say the same.
It could be. We're doing some Inception shit right now.
Yeah. It's like WandaVision. We're in the multiverse of wrestling.
Yeah. Forbidden door or what? Or Nia Jax's hole.
Oh boy.
Jeez, oh man. All right. Real quick, we'll end it with Ryan Nemeth going up against Pac. Any big takeaways from that? Dan, what'd you think of that little bout there happening?
It was a match that happened.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about that. I don't know, man. It's just really, it's a little rough when you have Dolph Ziggler and Matt Seidel's brothers like advertised the same segment. You're like, are you guys going to give Jim Johnston's brother a job too? Like have him do the theme music, maybe like some appearances by Frank Stallone or,
Brothers.
That's what I was going to say. It's very Frank Stallone.
Brothers name.
It was very Frank Stallone. Yeah, he's fine. It's just, it's like weird. It's just like, it's like like you see him and it's almost like Bizarro Seinfeld, right?
Yeah,
because he looks like Dolph Ziggler, but he's not as good as Dolph Ziggler, but he's also not bad, but it's kind of the same gimmick. So, it almost feels like, remember when there was Gallagher and Gallagher 2? I think you should just go as Dolph Ziggler 2.
Don't do that. How hilarious is
that? Just go as Dolph Ziggler 2 and have Vince have a script.
That would be fucking hilarious. I think that Pac's like got this incredibly high ceiling. He's like super intense in the ring. Like his intensity reminds me. Everybody compares him to the Dynamite Kid. Also, his intensity reminds me of Chris Benoit. It's hard to compare anybody to Chris Benoit nowadays, but like just his overall intensity reminds me of Benoit's. As far as Nemeth,
I would say if you have to describe Chris Benoit to anybody, just the opposite of Titus O'Neil, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Dad of the year every year. All right, guys. I don't know. I had to do a paint by numbers Chris Benoit joke here. I apologize.
I thought it was perfect.
Hey, so that's why we got you. We need the comedic side on here. We're good.
Nemeth reminds me of like Glenn Gilberti.
Dude, see what happened today with well, I'm probably going to talk about this on my podcast, but you see what happened today with Gina Carraro and somebody.
She got she got a roll or something. I saw, or what?
No, that's no. I'm not talking about this. Is like wrestling related.
Okay.
Somebody tweeted somebody tweeted at her, "Hey, please support my brother. He's over in Iraq fighting," and it was a picture of Chris Benoit in the U.S. troop outfit, military. So then Gina's like, "Oh, well, we're rooting for him." So it's basically like, "Holy shit, rooting for Chris Benoit." I mean, obviously, she fucking know, but it was so wild.
Holy shit,
it's crazy, man.
Dude, it's been the wrestling undefeated nuts out there. Like you look at what was it, the Stan Lane thing? Did you guys see that shit?
What's that?
Oh my god! Like he's apparently like has like that one extreme radical conservative was like his daughter, and like it was like I don't want to allegedly like a incestuous little relationship he had with the. And so it's like fuck
strong allegations.
Strong allegations going down. It's like it's been wrestling.
Oh man, Husney over at Dark Side of the Ring is printing money right now.
I know he's like taking notes and scrolling through the timeline of Twitter, like, oh, that's fucking good right here.
Wasn't there a weird thing with Marty Jannetty and his daughter at one point? I feel like that could be like a one whole episode of Dark Side.
I think it's each Facebook post that Marty Jannetty makes.
Yeah, I mean, we cover Marty in our show. I mean, Marty is still having a party.
he's permanently stuck in the 80s.
Did Stan Lane is the father of Congresswoman Lauren Boebert?
Yeah, that's what
I think. No, I think that this is bullshit.
You think it would be?
I'm gonna call it 100% confirmed on two Dynamite dudes. Let's put that out on the internet.
Well, we have a responsibility to stop the fake news on our side as well, folks.
Right. We may be some hack wrestling podcast, but we're trying to do the best we can.
Yeah, try to do the work that the New York Times is doing. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Shit.
Alexa Bliss receives disturbing messages from stalker, threatens to visit her home. There's a lot of
dude,
there's a lot of rough stuff here.
That's the thing. That guy got banned from Twitter, I think. The stalker that was tweeting at her for he was like, dude, I know you. He kept saying, I know you love me, and like all this stuff. And she was like, no, go away, please stop doing this. She was trying to be very professional and diplomatic.
Dude, I mean, that gimmick, man, it really opens. You talk about a forbidden door.
Yeah.
Yes. It opens a forbidden door for sure.
Oh, dude, it's like I cannot believe they're playing. Marcus, you don't probably much know. Marcus doesn't watch WWE. Do you know?
Alexa Bliss, she's like a creepy doll now or something.
Like
is that correct?
Yeah, it's like Chucky. It's like Chucky, Bride of Chucky or something.
But all the fucking freaks are gonna start coming out when you got a gimmick like that, man.
Of course, all these guys think they're the Fiend. They all think they're the Fiend, like it's like the Phantom of the Opera for people who drink Rockstar instead of coffee.
It's true. Plus, you got the fucking everybody's in the pandemic and they're just cooped up inside, and they were already cooped up inside. So hey, let's tack on a virus going around. So it's just breeds that. It cultivates that.
Yeah, Rick.
Jeez. So how we close this out is we give our MVPs of the show, and then Marcus gives his Meltzer rating, which is not a Meltzer rating whatsoever. It's like out of 10. So Dan, who's your MVP for this week? And then give your rating of the show out of 10.
Out of 10,
Yep.
I give it a 4.
Okay. Wow. Damn. Okay.
And what else? What was the other? No, and look, I'm trying to be fair, man. I thought NXT was really good this week, and I usually like a Dynamite way better than NXT. Maybe this was just an episode I didn't dig, but I would say it was, besides the Nakazawa Caddy segment, there wasn't really anything that I loved. I like the women's match a lot, so yeah, maybe 5 out of 10. I don't know.
No, that's not that bad. No, it does make sense. Who's your MVP though?
My MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, Kenny's still going to be my MVP.
He's hard to
for
top.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
He is
right.
on a roll.
It's really.
Scott Chaplin, he's the big fan on Total Marks. Well, the new podcast now, but I know he's the big fan.
Well, yes, now Wrestle Roasts.
Yeah.
On all things comedy and AdFreeShows. Check us out. And I'm on Instagram, Dan St. Germain. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, Dan.
Thanks for being on here, brother. Man. Yeah, it's been great. Marcus, who is your MVP and what's your Meltzer rating?
I think I'm just going to go with MJF. I thought that he worked a really good match. It was kind of like he did some fun old school stuff there, which I found really entertaining. For the Meltzer rating, I'm pretty close to Dan. I got to say, I didn't think it was a great episode. Aside from the women's match and Chris Jericho, arguably with MJF having one of his better matches in months. I'm going 5.2, Dominic.
5.2. All right. My MVP, I guess. We didn't even talk about him really, but I would say Max Caster really stood out this week. I don't know. I just liked his rap delivery was kind of clever. Obviously, like it's always something on point with the wrestling, aspect of a talent that but like so the Sunshine with Rosie O'Donnell. But I don't know. It's just from him branching off from winning, like eliminating Max in the Battle Royal to this week, I thought he played it off pretty well, and ultimately, I would give him my MVP. I think for this week. So,
cool, man. Let's get to the plugs.
Yeah, Dan. Yeah, plug the new podcast one more time and get all that.
Well,
over.
I mean, I like my third plug, so I'm sure people are throwing this in their bathtub. But Wrestle Roasts. It comes out on Friday morning. We also have a Patreon. I have albums. You could get those on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever. I do stand up when I'm not talking about tan and oily men wrestling one another. I already said you can follow me on Dan St. Germain and on Instagram. I'm trying to beef up the people on there. So there you go.
You get the word out. We'll include all that stuff in the bio too this week. So,
all right, sweet, man.
Marcus, you got some shit going on for WrestleZone now, man. What's happening?
I do. Yeah. So first episode of WCW Rewritten, where I rebook WCW starting at Starrcade 1997. First episode is up, and we're getting some pretty good feedback on it so far. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've got a lot of really, really good ideas for the coming year. So please check that out. And yeah, if you want to give me a follow on Twitter, so you can comment or ask questions or even just tell me I suck. Marcus P. D'Angelo on Twitter.
Hey, what a plug there. You can follow the podcast too, WCW Rewritten at WCW Rewritten. So each week it's going to be Marcus recaps or rebooks each episode of Nitro and everything like that, and gives it kind of a new paint job with a lot of stuff. So
yep. So next week, actually, Dominic and I are recording it tomorrow. It's going to be the 12/29/1997 episode of Monday Nitro. So the first Nitro following Starrcade.
So there we go. Cool. And guys, you can follow me on Twitter at Dominic D'Angelo. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. And then just be on the lookout for some more interviews coming up. I interviewed Savio Vega last night. I interviewed I'm going to be interviewing Dominic Guarini in advance of NLW Fusion with their Filthy Island. And Chris Jericho, an interview with Chris Jericho is up on our site. And just take a look at all that stuff. WrestleZone wrap up, all that malarkey. So cool, Dan. Thanks for joining us, brother.